It's one of the oldest trades known to man, and almost everybody has an opinion on it. It's prostitution, more informally known as sex working. But what do you think about it? We're talking about the topic and the support assistance that is offered. So far we've spoken to somebody who helps patrol the issue, a lady who's been part of the issue, and another who helps combat it, covering the risks involved, the help that is to offer, and a collection of personal circumstances. SWAN has been around since 2003. It stands for Sex Workers Around Northampton. I went to speak to the manager there. There have been cuts to policing. In your experience, has this caused an increase to sex working?
I don't believe that we have seen an increase in sex workers in Northampton. It's not something that I've heard from policing teams that work the area. I know there's been some discussion from residents recently, but we haven't had that kind of come through to us. To give you an idea, we had 5 Home Office cautions, so cautions for prostitution issued in August. We only had 1 issued in September. So for me, that doesn't indicate that we have a huge issue out there on the streets. That said, there are obviously still some women that are working the streets, and that is still an issue for the community.
I went along to speak to Joe Joyce. He's the representative of the Spring Boroughs Residents Association, where in the past prostitution has been known to occur.
I think the first step they started was, I think, was a very brave step. They set up what they called a managed zone. Girls, they weren't going to get harassed too much if they stuck to the rules, didn't follow people about, and worked there and worked with people like SWAN and other agencies to try and exit the trade wherever they could and wanted to. But it was very difficult in the beginning to bring people on board to say, look, this is what we want to do. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a long term, but please bear with us. And there were some issues with people not coming on board, but I think they all got together and to see that. And the council were very supportive. The housing officer we had at the time was great in reporting issues, warning tenants about letting people in and trying to uprate security, things like that.
And what about the street lights?
For our women who work on the streets, they need to attract clients, and they need to attract clients by being visible to cars that are driving past. So actually, if it's pitch black, they don't attract business. So you could argue that reducing the street lights has actually made it less able for our women to attract.
I won't say it's completely gone, but it is so minor a problem, it just doesn't come up at meetings anymore. It really, really is a fantastic feeling.
What's the next step for women after prostitution?
What we tend to find is that once clients have stopped sex working and stopped working with us, and we work with, so for at the moment I think we've got nearly 40 clients who no longer sex work, but we're still working with them. They're in the main ex-street working women, but they require a lot of support for a long time afterwards. Just because you stop street working doesn't mean that all the issues that led you there in the first place have gone.
My life did change quite drastically. I fell pregnant quite early on, and I was seeing at the time kind of changed my life. All of a sudden I had something to work for. I had my own little person to care for. The first time I experienced love, I think, and it is when I wanted to be a better person. I had a flat in a village, and the council helped me to set up. And for the first time in my life, it was somewhere where they couldn't take it off me. It was my own home. I wasn't going to be chucked out. And I made some really good friends.
And what we tend to find is that once they've kind of had that support and moved out of that lifestyle to a significant kind of level, they disengage with the service, and that's as it should be. I don't have issues with that. You know, they should move on. It's always nice to bump into people who were clients of ours that we perhaps haven't seen for 2 or 3 years and see that they're settled and they've got partners and they've got children and they're working, or, you know, they're doing really well and they're going on holidays. When we get women that, you know, attend college for the first time, or come in because they've been to the dentist and they've got new teeth and now they look fabulous, and, you know, all of those things. They might seem like really little things, but actually they're the things that make the difference.
My life took a turn for the better, but it could have gone seriously bad. I never had help from organisations or charities. I wish I knew where to go. Being kicked out of home at such a young age due to unforeseen circumstances from my childhood ruined my life. or at least part of it. But now I am able to have a relationship with my mother, but at the time she couldn't cope with my abuse. She said she had nowhere to go as she felt ashamed as a parent. Thankfully now I have a life and lots of people in it. I did need help and wished I had more information at the time. I'm one of the lucky ones, but there's so many who aren't.
If you or anyone you know may be dealing with similar circumstances, please get in touch with Swan. They're for sex workers around Northampton, and they're there to help. You can visit their offices at Fish Street, Northampton, or you can call on 01604 633 213.